Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miss Fred and this is TpT Tuesday. On this channel, I talk about my various income streams as a teacher, and then I also go into detail on my earnings on Teachers Pay Teachers. I have a lot of jobs, I have a lot of streams of income, and I'm talking about all of those things as well as what I'm teaching and just my life as a teacher. But I always start every TpT Tuesday with my income for the week, what products I made, and that sort of thing. If that's something that you're interested in, please give me a follow. I would really, really appreciate it. And today, after I go over my income report, I'm going to be talking with you about a question that I had in my last video, which is how I juggle and manage all of the different projects that I have going on. So I'm going to be going over that with you today. So stick around after my income breakdown if you are interested in hearing about how I manage multiple jobs. So without further ado, let me share my screen and let's get into the numbers. So this week on Teachers Pay Teachers, I made $16, which is a completely respectable number in my opinion. What was interesting is that it was kind of a split week. I made $9.60 last Tuesday, and then I didn't sell anything throughout the week. But then at the beginning of this week, I made $6.40 yesterday. So that's absolutely fine. I think that the beginning of the week, Mondays and Tuesdays, are when I typically sell the most products. I'd have to go back and look to be sure. But, people tend to buy something that they're going to be using throughout the week, especially because my products can really be dragged out into longer lessons. They're not like one day things, they kind of take a few days to use. So that's what I'm working on. I also sold a product that I poured my heart and soul into making. It was something that I've spent the most time out of any product creating it, which made me so happy to finally sell one. I hadn't sold any of that. So I was really, really excited. And it was my elements of music, like PowerPoint and slides. What I've noticed is that music teachers really like the no prep. And that one is more like lecture based. You would want, it's not, I didn't write all of the content in it like I have for my other assignments, which are basically like taking and breaking down like chapters of like a mini textbook and giving all of that to the students to read and work independently. This one is more classroom discussion based and working together. So I understand that maybe that's not something that a lot of music teachers are interested in when they're looking for music history resources, but that's what it was for. And making these products, it's really interesting. They require a lot of research, a lot of reading. So if you're interested in how I go about making my products, especially my history series, for music history, I would be happy to share that with you. But just to give you like a sort of a basic overview is I start with, this is my primary source material, which was a collegiate textbook. It's the Burkholder History of Western Music or Burkholder and Grout, I should say. And I reread that, so I'm relearning about it. And then I also look at some other sources, some other textbooks I have online, and then I edit that down into something that I feel like is more manageable for students. And then I pick 2 or 3 of the big hitters. So like if I'm going through jazz and I'm talking about like one aspect of jazz, like cool jazz or West Coast jazz, then I'm going to pick 2 or 3 composers or artists to feature. I do a little very mini biography on them, and then we focus on one of their compositions. And so that's my process. Obviously, if you're wanting to get more extensive into it, then you'd be looking for a different type of resource. But I'm just mostly wanting to give students an overview of a place to start with my products. So I can talk more about product creation and what I'm creating in another video. If that's interested, just let me know in the comments below and I would be happy to do that. This is what I'm really excited about. I am $2 away from my earnings hitting $500 since I started my store on January the 1st. It's just crazy to me to think that I am this close to having earned $500 for the lessons that I've already been creating and making for my students, and then simply adding them to Teachers Pay Teachers to sell online. What a journey. $500. That's just such a great, crazy amount. And some days it feels very disheartening because you're making $2 for $2.40 for something that you spent hours on. But the thing is I would be creating that anyway. I just make it prettier for TpT, and it is something that my students are really benefiting from. I find that my students are more engaged when I make more attractive products. They just like things, kids like things that are aesthetic as well as I do. I love the aesthetic things. So it's helping me a lot. Let's look at my month earnings so far, just so we can see. Um, April has been a great month so far. I cannot complain. $130 for April is wonderful. We've already now reached, this is my second highest month so far, so there's still potential for me to earn a little bit more, but that's actually just really exciting. And then this year, as my year to date, I started on January the 1st, so that's nice. It makes it easy. I've made almost $500 and I've sold $625, so that's very, very exciting too. Just feels really, really good to do that. And then my store is looking exactly the same. I haven't updated anything to my store. So I still am sitting at 72 products, and I still have my April kind of banner up. So that's looking good. And I am at 24 followers. Wait, is this maybe I'm following? Oh yeah, 24 followers. And then I have 5 ratings. What's fun is to see like my free product, to see how many people downloaded that. So it's been downloaded like over 100 times, which is cool. I can't remember how to see that, but oh yeah, 115 downloads. So I need to update my freebie to something more less seasonal. But it's cool to see that that's how many people are kind of like trafficking through my store. And let's go ahead and just look at the traffic um for this month so far, just to look at that. So everything has come straight from Teachers Pay Teachers. As I said before, I took a step back from the blog because I was working on other projects, and that is going to become more of a priority eventually. So that's what I've been up to on TpT. So now I'm going to share with you just some information from a question that one of the people who follow me or who was watching my videos asked, which is how I juggle all of my multiple projects and jobs, because it seems like I have a lot going on, which I do. So I'm going to go over that with you now. A couple of disclaimers before I begin. Number one, I am not a productivity guru or expert. I have not read every book on productivity, or do I put a lot of information out there on productivity. I do like to read books about productivity. I just read Atomic Habits. I've been looking at some other books to read, and I want to increase my productivity and I want to increase my work-life balance. That's not my strong suit. This is just what I do and how I do it all. It's not a manual for how you should do it. So, just want to throw that out there. The other disclaimer is I am a single woman and I live alone. I live in an expensive city area. I live in the Denver area, and Denver's very expensive, and it is impossible, in my opinion, unless I got roommates or something, to survive on a teacher's salary, and to pay for everything in my life and like cover all my bills, while also like maintaining any type of like social life or fun life or travel. I think that just surviving would be hurt enough. So I have to work extra. This is not going to be my like feelings about how much teachers earn or what we should earn or what we are worth. That would be, I mean, I think with this audience, there's absolutely no reason to um dive into that topic. I think everyone knows, but this is just how I make it and how I survive and what I do. And I also have big financial goals, as you know. So right now, that's the season of life that I'm in. I'm single, I have no children, and I am trying to achieve some big financial goals for myself. So this is not a how-to, this is just a FYI, this is what I do. So, first of all, I have always been a busy person since I was in high school. When I was in school growing up, I was dancing, I was in theater, and I was in choir. So I would be working on a play, I would be going to ballet and jazz and Pilates after school. And then I also was like actively involved in choir. I was in the National Honor Society. And I was really actively involved in church growing up. I sang on the youth worship team and I did a lot of like church music and youth stuff with my youth group, and I did mission trips and stuff like that. So church was a very big part of my busyness and kept me very busy. Choir kept me extremely busy. Theater kept me busy. I had a boyfriend through high school, so that I had a busy social life. So I have never been the type of person to not be juggling lots of things. I took AP classes in high school, and I also started kind of with that mindset of wanting to maximize my time back then, just naturally. Um, I did like to listen to music and stuff, but we really only had a couple of radio stations. So I would have a long drive to school, and I lived kind of more in the sticks. And so I would be driving into town to go to school, and I would listen to books on tape. So that's how I started listening to audiobooks. I specifically remember listening to Les Miserables on tape on the way to school, and that's kind of how I got started into audiobooks, which are a big part of like my productivity mindset, I guess you could say. So after that, when I started college, I went to college in New Mexico for 1 year, and during that time, I um worked at Sonic, and I also worked at a daycare. So I was going to school full time, and then I would go work at Sonic until on the weekends or just whenever I would get shifts. And then every day I would work at an after school daycare program. So I would go in at about 2:30 because that's when the kids get out of elementary school. And then I would work until 6. And then I got a third job. This was my freshman year of college. I got a third job as a desk attendant. It was a work study job. So I would leave maybe around 5:30 or 6 from that job and then go to my next job, which I was a night desk attendant at the university in one of the departments. And I didn't really have to do anything much for that job. I just was the desk attendant. So when the building was open, so they just needed somebody to sit at the front desk and just be there. So that's where I could do some of my homework. My boyfriend would come to visit me and just hang out. And we would just like watch music videos on whatever existed before YouTube, Yahoo Music. And yeah, we would just do that. So I was busy. I was a busy person. And at the time, I was double majoring in like language arts education and theater. And so I was doing plays and costuming and like being part of the costume and the set crew for plays. So I was doing all of that on top of everything else. And that has just been the way that I live my life. After that first year, I went and moved to California, and I was in a performing arts school, California Pacific College of the Performing Arts, where I performed with a group called the Young Americans. And during that time, I worked at Subway, and then I went to school online. That was when I first started online learning. I was not very successful that year. And then I also did like dancing and stuff. So basically, since the early days of college, I have always had a lot. I ended up leaving California and eventually coming back to New Mexico to finish my degree, where I always had multiple jobs. I did a work study job working in the choral library as a librarian. I did like advertising and promotion and scheduling for Doniana Lyric Opera, and just kind of did a lot of management with that, which those jobs taught me a lot of skills about running programs and managing programs. Even though it was work study, it was really good on the job training. And then I taught piano and voice lessons throughout college. I worked at Victoria's Secret, and just got a lot of like, I was just always earning income. And then I also got a job as a worship leader and a youth choir director at a church. So I was just bouncing around, always doing a million jobs. When I started teaching, I I even taught yoga for a while. I got certified as a yoga instructor and taught yoga for a long time. So I was always doing something. And when I started teaching, I had to still do piano lessons in the afternoon, because I had a half-time FTE at my school to start. There was no schools in the area that were offering full-time FTEs for choir. So I ended up taking a half-time FTE, and then I worked really, really hard to build the program. Wow, this is really turning into a story time. So hopefully some of you are interested in this. I worked really, really hard to build my program that year, and then I taught piano and voice lessons in the afternoon to supplement my income. My second year teaching, I built it up to a full-time FTE. And so I was teaching full-time, but I still kept some of my students. And then that year is when I started teaching at the local university. And I was just asked to come in mid-semester and take over for a teacher who had left. I took over her class, and then I took over directing. In addition to that, I was also directing community theater for fun. So I was doing like music directing for Legally Blonde, where I got my dog Bruiser. And I was music directing for any shows that would come out and that I just had time to. And that was just a way for me to give back to my community, which was a really fun outlet. And it gave me a lot of the experience that I needed that I use now in all of my jobs. And then I also was singing in a community chorus, and then I was also the section leader and assistant director for that community chorus. So once again, just leaving school, bouncing around. Eventually, as I was teaching in person still at that time, I started getting more hours at the university, and I was started doing at least one show a year, if not more. I was doing more shows. So that was really fun. And then I took over musical theater at my school. So we were able to, the theater teacher and I was a choir director, with the theater teacher and I were able to like create a program for musical theater. So then I started doing shows at my school, and it was just a lot. It was a lot of irons in the fire, and I was serving on committees and serving as VP for the American Choral Directors Association in my state, and serving as VP for New Mexico Music Educators Association. And then I started planning all of these festivals and events, and solo and ensemble and prep clinics. So it was just like taking on a lot. And I also was the POMS coach. So I was doing a million things, and I was just running like to 100 different things all the time. So now the reason why I say all of this is because now I work from home mostly. And so I was able to juggle more before. I'm juggling less on my plate now than I did then. But I get to do a lot of it from home, which is what makes a lot of this new stuff possible. And I feel a lot more rested and less like running around like a chicken with my head cut off than I do before. So, right now, my main job is I am a full-time virtual teacher at a virtual school. So I teach a lot of subjects at this school. I teach English 4, creative writing, mythology, music appreciation, and then 2 sections of credit recovery. So those are for students who maybe failed a class and need to get makeup credits. And so they are similar content to what I teach, but they're running on a different schedule. So I have 6 preps, 7 classes, plus an advisory class. And that is what I am working on mostly throughout my day. I still have kept my university job, but I'm strictly teaching online now. So I'm not directing shows anymore, but I'm just teaching online sections of theater history, like theater introduction to theater type of situations. And I've also taught other classes as well, but this is the one that I'm mostly teaching. And then that is like my day job. So then after school, I work at a local high school in the Denver area where I am a theater director. And this was my first year doing that. We just finished our show this weekend. We had strike yesterday and today. So that is what is going on with that. Next year, I will be back at this school and I'm going to be directing 3 shows. And so that's after school. And I do that starting at 3:30 and it goes to like 5:36 and then as this gets closer to the show 7 or 8 at night, but that's why I've been really busy and not creating products. But in the early parts of the show it's just 2 hours a day after school, so that is really nice. And then I also, for my school, my online school, I'm the Quality Matters coordinator. So Quality Matters is a type of online specific learning that for course design. And so I am helping my school to start meeting those requirements for Quality Matters. And so that is an additional job. And while it doesn't pay anything extra, it's time consuming, but it also comes with perks. Like I'm gonna get to go to a conference in Vegas this summer, and I'm gonna get to go to the ISTE like tech conference here in Denver this summer. And so I'm getting a lot of perks from that leadership that I'm doing in my school, which is really fun. But it does take a little bit more time. And then, so when do I do these things, these extra things? I do them before or after school. Right now it's my lunch hour, and so I am filming this video during lunch. So I was doing grading and teaching and meetings and talking to parents and working with students this morning. During my lunch, I'm filming this video, and then I'm going to continue for the next couple of hours after my lunch break is over to work, and then I'm going to head over to the theater for part 2 of strike. My other job here is I direct a choir. So I direct, it's a adult treble choir. It's an auditioned group. It is not professional, but it is like quality wise, it's professional. The standards are very high for this choir. They do really difficult repertoire. They are expected to work a lot on their own on the music, and it's high level. It's not a come one, come all type choir, which I love those too. I'm doing a festival in the next few weeks, which is a come one, come all type of festival that my choir is hosting that I'm really excited about, called the Colorado Trouble Festival. So you should come to that concert if you live in Denver. But that's what I do, and then I'm working on that festival. I do plan on doing 2 things in the summer. I'm going to teach summer school for my district, so that'll be a different set of classes. And then I'm also planning on, as soon as oh, did you know if you hold up 2 fingers on Zoom, it makes balloons? I did not know that until right now. So, I'm filming this on Zoom because that's the only way I know how to share my screen. So if you've got a better idea for me, I'm happy to hear it, but I probably will still use Zoom because I already know how to do it. And then, I am going to probably teach lessons, but I'm probably going to wait until I move, because if I move, let me say if I move, my lease is up in July. I don't know how much they're going to re-up my lease. I also don't know where I'm at in the house buying process and all that stuff. So if I stay here, then I'll pick up students, or if I'm moving, then I'll wait. So I just need to kind of wait for a minute to decide that. Although I have a couple of people signed up already who want to start lessons with me. Um, and then fun stuff, I schedule those things really far in advance. So like last year I went to Disneyland, Vegas, not for work, just for fun. I try to do trips every now and then. I also am doing like concerts and things like that. Like I've gone here since I moved here to see a few musicals, to see comedians like Taylor Tomlinson, Eddie Izzard, concerts. So I have those scheduled out throughout the summer as well. And I try to schedule those in advance and just have those on my calendar blocked out. And then I plan everything else around those things so that I can make sure that I'm prioritizing fun and travel and all of those things that I really love to do. Right now, travel is not my top priority because I traveled a lot last year. And this year I'm in kind of saving up in case I just won't decide I want to buy a house mode. So that's where I'm at with travel this year. Um, and so that's what I'm juggling. And then this is kind of an idea of how I juggle it. So this is like my little post-it note method. So I keep all of my different things on different sticky notes on my computer. This is my daily checklist for my job. I always try to grade papers and give feedback right away. As an English teacher and a writing teacher, I have a lot of grading to do. I don't do a lot of self-grading things. I do a lot of like where I have to read and give feedback. So I try to do that first thing in the morning and get that knocked out. And then I have my main email addresses that I just try to get to 0 every day. That can eat your whole life up, is emails and responding to emails. So that's my first thing of the day thing that I try to do. And then I have a few things during the week that I try to do. So I try to post grades to our like portal once a week, and I do that on Mondays or Tuesdays, usually Mondays after I finish grading everything. And then I have to email out to all students like what they're missing, and talk to them and set up conferences and set up meetings and tutorings and things like that. Tuesdays, I always film TpT Tuesdays, and I have choir on Tuesday nights. Wednesday, I try to work ahead to the following week's assignments, and I also try to schedule appointments on Wednesdays because I almost never do meetings on Wednesdays. I don't have any staff meetings on Wednesdays. If I need an appointment, like tomorrow I have a hair appointment and I've scheduled that for Wednesday because I don't have meetings. Thursday is when I will always have my staff meetings or my small group meetings, PLCs, things like that. And then Friday, I have leadership meetings because I'm on the leadership team. Then throughout the week, I sprinkle in meetings with students and things like that. And then I try to sneak in times during my breaks to work on other things like I am right now. And then I also just like if I finish something early or if I have a little bit of downtime, then I'll try to throw in something. What's nice about Teachers Pay Teachers is I'm using all of my products. So I can use my prep time to work on the products, but I try not to use my prep time to create thumbnails or previews or things that are just for TpT. So assignments, yes. Marketing, no. I don't feel like that would be the most ethical thing to do. So, and then I just kind of keep my running list of things that I'm working on. For example, my world music series, I just need to do a study guide and exam for that. I need to work on like SEL assignments, end of year activities, and then I have this escape room that has been the bane of my existence that once I put it up, I better sell 1 million copies because it's taken me forever. Also, I just put on the back burner now because it's like a thing in my brain that is just stressing me out. And then I'm also thinking about maybe starting to sell novel study and English content now that I've been purchasing some and enjoying that. And then there's novels that I really want to teach that there isn't a lot of novel things out there. So thinking about that, but it's all a question mark. And then if I ever have something that pops into my head, I'll throw it on a sticky so that I just know. I have my personal to-dos. This is the thing that probably gets backburnered the most because my work-life balance isn't super great. But if I have a personal to-do, I try to put it on the list and then get that done when I can. And then I try to delete those things, like this off once I'm finished, but sometimes I don't do that. And then like these are my choir to do. So like things come up. This is probably the job where random things come up constantly all the time. This is the least structured of all of my jobs. And it feels like the one that is always seeping into my life the most. So having this running to-do list for this choir is very good for me to have because I probably get the most emails related to this job outside of my 9 to 5. And again, there's just no structure. I feel like it's always seeping into every hour of every day. And so I tried to just like house all that stuff together. And then this is my university teaching to-do list, which I'm going into summer school pretty soon, so I'm not worried about that. Don't have a ton to do for that. So that's a short list. And then theater, I just, like I said, I'm striking my show. So now this list has gotten a lot shorter because this is my planning for next year on this list. And then this is what I'm working on outside of just grading and keeping up with students. This is what I'm working on for my main job. So I just will throw things like this is not, again, I'm not a productivity wizard. I'll just throw these things on the list and then I do them when I can. So the question is when. Some days I wake up at 5 in the morning and I will just knock out a bunch of things. And then most days I will burn into the midnight oil or however you say that phrase. So I will be working on this stuff till super late at night. This week I stayed up till 2 or 3 a.m. a couple of times working on things. One was like costuming emergency and I had to finish that. And then the other was I got so behind on grading and emails because of my late hours with the show. So on Sunday I stayed up till 3 in the morning catching up on some grading so that I could start this week with a fresh start, which was kind of nice. And then um I do it like when I can. I also read a lot, as you know. I'm always telling you what I've been reading, which I just finished Sense and Sensibility, and it's so good. It's not as good as Pride and Prejudice because Pride and Prejudice is funnier, in my opinion, but I still loved it, and it was just romantic and sweet. And then I'm still working on this because I'm trying to read and annotate it. It is taking me forever, but we did postpone this book club meeting, and then I have my other book club meeting. And then I'm like looking for another kind of productivity habit book just to listen to because I like to have things listening when I'm getting ready, doing my hair, when I'm driving around and getting stuck in traffic. I like to have a book going on tape too, on tape, an audiobook, like Audible. So this is kind of how I organize and structure that. And I don't feel like this video is very helpful. I think it's just like I'm busy and I'm constantly busy. Oh, I do use an assignment planner too. Not an assignment planner, but like an agenda. This is not your pretty like aesthetic agenda. I just put in appointments. So this is like a typical week of what appointments look like, and I haven't scheduled any parent appointments or any student appointments in here yet. So this is just kind of like what my week starts out with week to week. And then the things that I do every day, like I don't put in there. So I go to the theater every single day. So I don't put that in there because like this is just sort of to keep those like appointments that are outside of the normal schedule in for me, I guess. Um, and then I will put like what if we're doing something specific. So I put strike there, but I'm not the most aesthetic planner girl. I just don't really have the time for that. I don't have time to make this pretty. I just need it to be functional. And I also put appointments on my phone as well, but it helps me to write them down. I don't know, it just gives me peace of mind to write them down. Um, and I also like have a lot of D's where I don't have a clean kitchen or I don't make my bed or I can't remember the last time I did laundry and then I have to like rush and do that. But when I stick to my schedule, things do a lot better for me. So like when I stick to my like Saturday morning is the day that I do my sheets. Like when I'm sticking to those like little rules I make for myself, I'm always in a much better way and then I get less overwhelmed. I start to get really into like negative self-talk if I get out of my routine because then I feel really overwhelmed. So the routine helps me to stay positive towards myself, and to stay on top of things, if that makes sense. So yeah. I wish I could tell you I was one of those people, like all of the millions of YouTubes I watched where I have hacks for how to do it all, but the biggest thing I can say about handling a lot of stuff is stop planning to do it and just do it. I used to kind of be really perfectionistic about planning and doing mindset things because I wanted to like execute things perfectly. And then my graduate teacher in college was just like a doer and he sort of made me be a doer because I was really I was his grad assistant, and he would just throw things at me and be like, get this done now. And I didn't have time to make a pretty list. And he would just like scribble his lists on like a sticky notepad. And then he just was so accomplished. And I remember when I started grad school, I thought that I was busy and I thought that I juggled a lot. And then I watched him and how much he juggled and how much he got done. And he just like wasn't precious about it. Like I would observe him and he just wasn't precious about it. And he didn't make everything pretty and he didn't make everything aesthetic. He just got things done and got so much more done. So have worked on becoming more that way, um because perfectionism has been something that like keeps me from getting things done, if that makes sense. So working through that has been good. Anyway, that's I don't know if that was like a how to or just like a this is what I do. I don't know if it was really a how to, but I just try to make a list, keep them separated, and then just tackle them as much as I can to summarize. So if that is helpful for you, I hope that it was. If you are a person who just naturally juggles a lot of stuff, leave that in the comments below. I know there's more of us out there who are just like, I don't know, super doers. Like, not that we're doing things superly, but we just do a lot of things. So if you're the type of person who just always has to be doing something, let me know. And then just also to let you know, I'm working on the balance part. That's really not my strong suit. I want to make sure that I'm like prioritizing working out and prioritizing making food at home and eating super healthy and all of those things that we want to do as people to take care of ourselves. I want to prioritize getting better sleep. But I don't feel like bad about the way I'm doing things now because I'm just doing what I feel like I need to do to get it done. And I don't feel like I'm ripping my hair out with busyness and super, super stressed all the time. It's just that's how my life has always been. And I actually kind of start to feel anxious when I'm not super hyper productive and busy. But that is for me and my therapist to work through. So, anyway, I hope this was helpful or entertaining or enlightening in some way. If you stayed till the end, thank you so much and have a good one. And I'll see you next week. Have a productive week.